welcome back to Triathlon Luke. I hope you're all doing well. So I wanted to put a video together for the 10 best excuses or reasons not to do a triathlon. Believe me, I've been there myself. So I wanted to get straight into it with 10 tips or 10 excuses for you not to use on your journey to doing a triathlon, whether that be sprint or an Olympic. But if you're really hardcore and you're going to do a half-ironman or an Ironman, you're a better person than I am, but you can also use these tips too. Excuse number 1, I'm not built for running. I've been there. This guy, he wasn't built for running when he first started. Believe me, it was tough. However, everybody is built for running, and we're all going to come up against barriers that make us want to stop, whether that be shin splints, you can't run 4 or 5 houses down the road without being out of breath. But believe me, we've all been there. And sometimes you've just got to endure the first couple of weeks, potentially months, of absolute hell. Now, that sounds really, really bad. In fact, if someone said that to me at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have done it. I'd have been like, sack that, I really can't be arsed. However, after the first initial couple of weeks, what you'll start to find is that you build your baseline fitness. Now this will set you in really good stead when you then want to start increasing your training load. But I have to stress, start small and build up. Don't be a hero. Don't try and do something crazy. You won't thank yourself for it. So get your trainers on, get outside, get your allowance from the government and use it wisely. Get out there and start running. Tip number 2, or excuse number 2. I'm not very good at swimming. Now, let me tell you, unless you come from a swim background already, you're going to find it hard. But that's okay. Listen, hardly any proportion of the race is swimming. The majority is the bike followed by the run. So my tip to you would just be get used to the water, enjoy the swim, if anybody can enjoy swimming. But anyway, enjoy the swim, but practice. Use your local swimming pool, get used to the water, and if I'm honest with you, like most of us, including me, I just tried to get through it. Get through it, get out the water, get onto the next discipline. But take your time. It will come, you will get better, and you will get faster. Your third excuse would be, I don't have any of the gear. Now, with triathlon, you could spend thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on all of the top kit, or buying yourself new kit. Aero bike, aero helmet, shoes, running shoes, swim gear, swim skin, goggles, sunglasses. They have to all match, mind, otherwise you won't look the part. No, I'm only joking. But seriously, you don't need all of that kit in your first triathlon, or even in your first year for that matter. I would suggest old pair of running trainers that are suitable for what you're going to be using them for, a bike that your nan's got in the garage that's collecting dust, a pair of shorts that you don't mind getting wet, and most importantly, because I'm in the UK, you need something that's potentially going to keep you warm on the bike and on the run. Now that can be something as simple as a t-shirt that's shoved in the back of the drawer in your bedroom, waiting for a rainy day. So seriously, you don't need much. Use what you can. Nobody's going to say anything otherwise. And don't forget a wetsuit. You will need a wetsuit. In the UK, pretty much 99% of races, you're going to need a wetsuit. So don't go and buy a crazy expensive one for your first race. I'm sure if you go onto social media platforms, there'll be somebody selling one pretty cheap somewhere in the UK. Failing that, I'm sure if you look online, you'll be able to rent one for your first triathlon. Get a wetsuit. Excuse/tip number 4. Now, I hear this all the time, and I was probably guilty of this too. I don't have the time to train. Now listen, we're not looking to get the gold medal at the Olympics after our first triathlon. That's not what we're looking to achieve. We're looking to just get through it, and you'll be surprised at how little training you need to do in order to get you through that first triathlon. It can seem daunting, 3 disciplines, and how do you train for them all? But realistically, you probably need to train maybe 2 to 3 hours a week. You can spread that over every other day if it works for you, but realistically, I would suggest aiming for between 2 to 3 hours per week of training to get you through your first triathlon. Honestly, you will be surprised at how little training you need to do to get through your first triathlon. Tip number 5, excuse number 5. I couldn't do all 3 disciplines at the same time. Now listen, you don't actually do all 3 at the same time. Break it down. So if the distance that you're looking to do is the worry, I would suggest entering a local event, a sprint distance or even super sprint distance that will probably take you in the region of between 40 to 50 minutes long to get through it all. Rip that plaster off. Just get used to what triathlon is. Number 6. I don't think I can do it. Short answer, yes you can. Whether you've got 2 healthy legs, 1 healthy leg, you're in a wheelchair, you've got health problems, you can do it. Honestly, no one's going to expect you to miracles in your first triathlon. Honestly, you can do it. Okay, number 7. I'm not fit enough to do a triathlon. I was not fit enough to do a triathlon. 7 years ago when I started my journey, I was 50 kg in weight above where I am now. I had no background in swim, bike, run at all. And I'll be honest with you, probably the last time I actually tried to swim was when I stepped into the leisure centre for my Tony the Tiger badge number 2. Since then, I was probably 6 and I hadn't been in the pool since then. When it came to cycling, I didn't even own a bike. I borrowed someone's, I think. I can't really remember. But when it came to running, every time I ran, I had shin splints. I got hot, and I hated being hot when I first started. But after a while, baseline fitness got up, I learnt to swim, I bought myself a bike, and I got a pair of trainers that were purposeful for what I wanted them for. And little by little, I got faster and faster. So believe me when I tell you, I don't care about your starting point. I don't care about what you look like. All I care about is that you try. You try and you dig in and you keep going. Honestly, you are fit enough. You just don't know it yet. Okay, so there's some excuses and tips that are genuine. And that brings me on to tip number 8. Now, tip number 8. I'm afraid of the water. I completely get that. There are many people out there who struggle with the water. But let me tell you, if you want to do triathlon, you will get over it. Think about it. You start small, swimming in your local leisure centre, your local swimming pool, you've done a triathlon, and you'll do another one, and another, and another. That means that your swimming and your time in the water will increase because your swim times will get better and better and better. And before you know it, you'll be getting in the water confident that you can swim and confident with the surroundings. And if you really, really, really do have a fear of water, I would suggest, even as an adult, going to get a swim coach. I have a swim coach, and that's okay. It honestly is okay. Don't worry about what people think. If we worried about what people think, we certainly wouldn't be putting on lycra, wetsuits, all this skinny mini clothing, because believe it or not, it shows every lump and bump on your body. But we embrace it, because as a community, and as a triathlon community, we love it. To tip number 9. I have underlying and chronic health issues. Okay, now let's look at this as a general rule of thumb. Let's just take asthma for argument's sake. There are many people with chronic asthma who do triathlon. There are some top age group athletes who also have asthma, and it does make it a little bit harder when you start out. However, these athletes, just like you, have a pump, and they use their pump when necessary. Nobody on this world is going to tell you you can't use your asthma pump when you're starting out. There are some reasons that races won't allow them, but as we know from the social media, that this is all to do with doping. But believe me, if you're just starting out and you're just doing your first triathlon, you probably don't know what doping is yet. However, it is wrong. So let's bypass that one and just get over the fact that you do have a chronic illness, you do have underlying health issues, but you can overcome them. It just might take a little bit more time. However, this could improve your lung capacity and actually, in turn out that you don't need to use your asthma pump as much. That brings me on to my 10th and final tip or excuse. However, this one is probably the most valid. After watching all of these tips, you probably still feel, I still can't do a triathlon. And that's absolutely fine. And I get it. There will be many people in your situation and that were in my situation who still believe they can't do it. But believe me, you can. And I'm a real life example of that. Honestly, all you need to do is take it one step at a time. But what you will find out from doing triathlon is actually that you'll probably become more confident in yourself, which will probably positively affect your work and home life. Being confident is probably one of the best attributes you can have, but don't get overconfident because you will become a cropper. But honestly, you can do it. All you need to do is worry about yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about the other times that people are posting, because realistically, we're just looking to get into the sport and have a good time. And what you'll find is if you join a triathlon club, you'll probably meet people in the same situation as you, and you can take them on the journey with you. Create training buddies, and also within triathlon teams and clubs, you'll find people who are near enough experts in their field, and they will give you tips and hints to make your journey better. So there you have it. 10 tips or excuses for not to do a triathlon. However, I've given you my pep talk for 2020. It's time now for you to get your trainers, your goggles and your bike, get out there and just practice, practice, practice. If you've enjoyed this video, it'd be great to get your comments below, a like and a share to this video. I really appreciate your support through this channel, and I hope to bring you some more content in the coming days. Thanks.